At our New Year's Eve party, my brother stood up and said, "These are my brother's kids. No medals, no talent, just like their mom." Then he pointed to his own son. "Now that's what success looks like." Everyone laughed. I smiled, raised my glass. "Cheers. This is the last time any of you will see us." Then I took my children and left. An hour later, my brother texted, "You're still covering my son's college, right?" I read it, and then My name's Max. I'm 36, married to Lena, and I own a small but loud auto repair shop 2 blocks off the highway. Grease under my nails most days. Phone full of parts invoices and customer texts. In my family, I'm the reliable one. The guy who shows up with jumper cables and pays the tab when everyone suddenly forgets their wallets. I'm the older brother. Nick is the younger. He's the charmer. The kind of guy who can borrow a car and return it with less gas and more stories. Growing up, he got away with everything because he made everyone laugh. He still does. New Year's Eve, we were at my parents' place. Big pot of borscht on the stove, cheap sparklers stuck in a cake, TV counting down in the corner. My kids, Ben, 9, and Talia, 7, were in paper crowns, chasing the dog. Lena was in the kitchen with Mom, plating herring and rolling her eyes in a way only I can read. Stay calm. Nick clinked a spoon against his glass. "Hey, everybody, speech." He stood, gave a dramatic bow, and swept an arm toward my kids. "These are my brother's kids. No medals, no talent, just like their mom." The room did that awful thing where some people freeze and others laugh because they don't know what else to do. Someone actually snorted. My father said, "Nick," like a warning, but it was soft, almost amused. Lena went still. Ben looked at the floor. Talia's crown slid down over one eye. Nick grinned wider, puffed his chest, and pointed at his son, Luca, who was practicing a TikTok dance beside the couch. "Now that's what success looks like," he said. "Scholarships incoming. You hear that, Max?" I felt the heat rise behind my ears. My hand found Lena's without thinking. She squeezed once. "I'm here." I stood, lifted my glass, and my voice came out calm, flat. "Cheers," I said. "This is the last time any of you will see us." Silence. The laughter died so fast it left a hole in the room. Mom blinked like I'd spoken a foreign language. Nick smirked as if I were bluffing. I set the glass down, took my kids' hands, and we left. Coats over pajamas. Street cold in my lungs. I buckled them into the car while the fireworks started popping somewhere over the river. On the drive home, Ben asked, "Did we do something wrong?" "No," I said. "We're done being someone's joke." I tucked them into bed. Lena sat at the kitchen table, still in her nice dress, mateing something invisible in the air with her fingers. "What now?" she asked. "Now," I said, "we clean house." I didn't check my phone. I didn't want to see the explosion I knew was waiting in the family chat. I just stood in the dark kitchen, smelling motor oil on my jacket, listening for fireworks or sirens or anything that wasn't my own pulse. The dog flopped against my foot. midnight. The neighborhood went quiet. I finally flipped my phone over. And there it was, Nick's name lighting the screen. But I didn't open it. Not yet. Not tonight. Tonight, I wanted the sound of our apartment breathing and the small, warm fact that I'd meant what I said. Tomorrow, I would read it. Tomorrow, I would decide what to do with it. Tonight, I let the anger sit exactly where it belonged, front and center, sharp enough to finally see what I'd been pretending not to see for years. I washed the glasses, one by one, until the water ran cold. I didn't become the reliable one on purpose. It just happened. After high school, I skipped college and went straight into work. Apprenticed under a cranky mechanic who taught me torque specs and how to say no without apologizing. I saved, bought out a failing 2-bay garage, painted it bright, and put my name on the window. Max Auto. We fix what other people ignore. I married Lena at 27. We had Ben and Talia. We built a life made of early alarms, late dinners, and Saturdays at the park when I could manage it. I'm not some saint. I just did the math. Work now, breathe later. Meanwhile, Nick collected almost careers the way my shop collects old lug nuts. Personal trainer, real estate assistant, crypto consultant, marketing director for a startup that existed mainly on hoodies. He always landed just soft enough to try the next thing. My parents helped. "He's the baby," Mom would say, half joking, fully true. Dad would shrug. "He'll figure it out. Max, maybe you can, help." Help turned into paying Nick's traffic tickets so it won't go to collections. Then a temporary phone added to my plan so he can job hunt. Then just a small loan for a deposit on an apartment he left 6 months later, deposit gone. When Luca was born, it leveled up. It takes a village, Mom said, handing me a list. Diapers, formula, a car seat. I bought all three. Once, after Luca's preschool talent day, Nick pulled me aside in the hallway and said, "He's special, Max. We're going to need real schools. You get it?" He said it like I'd been waiting to be assigned this mission. Here's the part one hate admitting. I said yes to a lot of it. Some yes were loud. Most were quiet. I sent money for a few months. I co-signed a used Honda, so he can stop borrowing your work truck, which he still borrowed. I covered Luca's summer camp the year Nick's startup closed shop. Each time, I told myself it was the last. Then Mom would call with that voice, "He's your brother." And I'd blink and the transfer would be pending. Lena didn't nag. She just watched the numbers. "We need a new alignment rack," she'd say, looking at the spreadsheet. "But if you want to cover his emergency again, I'll push the order." I'd tell her, "Next month." I'd tell myself, "Next month." The family chat was its own ecosystem. Memes from Dad, long voice notes from Mom, photos of Luca posed with medals from weekend tournaments where everyone got a medal. My kids' wins were background noise. When Ben got a perfect score on his math test, I posted a picture. Mom reacted with a thumbs up. When Talia learned to read early, Nick sent, "Cute." When Luca kicked a ball into a net at a birthday party, there were 38 messages, 2 video edits, and Mom writing, "Our prodigy," with 3 crowns. I told myself I didn't care. I'm an adult. I have a shop. But then you catch your son watching those threads go by, and you care. 2 weeks before New Year's, Nick sent me a long text. "Good news. Luca got into Eastfield Prep's middle school program. Tuition's a stretch, but we're all about investing in the future, right? Can we sit down and talk numbers? You always said you'd be there for him." I reread, "You always said," and felt that old tug behind my ribs. Years ago, at a christening, half asleep and full of champagne, I told Mom, "Of course I'll help with Luca." I'd meant buying onesies. They heard tuition. I didn't answer right away. At the shop, I replaced a timing belt with my phone face down and my jaw tight. Lena appeared in the bay doorway, hair in a bun, clipboard in hand. "Your brother called here," she said. "He said you're ghosting him." "I'm busy." "Max, he asked if he should have the school send the invoice straight to the business account." I laughed. It came out like metal on metal. "The business account is for keeping the lights on." "Then tell him," she said gently. "Before New Year's. Before there's an audience." I tried. Twice I dialed. Twice I hung up. I knew exactly how it would go. He'd joke. I'd hedge. Mom would hop on speaker and make it a referendum on my soul. So I saved it. I'd say it after the holiday dinner, when people are sleepy and less cruel. And then the holiday dinner happened. And Nick opened his mouth and tossed my kids into the fire. And the audience laughed. And I told them it was the last time. The next morning, I finally opened his message from after midnight. Timestamp 12:41 a.m. "You're still covering my son's college, right?" College. Not middle school. Not maybe someday. College. Like the bill had already been slid across the table to me, and I was deciding which pen to use. There was more. A text from Mom. "You embarrassed us. You know your brother jokes. You should apologize to the family chat. Also, we need to talk about Luca's education plan. It's not fair to start and then pull support." Start what? I thought. Pull what? In their heads, I'd signed a decades-long contract. In their heads, my kids were a punchline and Luca was a project funded by me. I put the phone down and grabbed a fresh roll of shop towels. I needed friction. I needed to scrub something. That afternoon, Dad called. "Your mother is upset," he said. "Just smooth it over, okay?" Nick didn't mean it. "Dad." He meant it enough to say it in front of my kids. A pause. "Well, you know how he is." "I do," I said, and felt something click into place. "And I'm done pretending." "Pretending what?" "That he's my responsibility." Dad exhaled like I'd confessed to a crime. "Mac's family." I looked at my hands. Oil black in the creases. Exactly. If I'd handled it the old way, I would have called Nick and argued in circles until he wore me down. If I'd handled it the angry way, I would have shown up at my parents' door and yelled. Instead, I did something I learned under that cranky mechanic. Write it up like a work order. Diagnose. Document. Decide. I opened a new note and titled it Family Billing, because if they were going to keep treating me like a bank, I'd start acting like one. I listed everything I could remember, year by year. Tickets, deposits, temporary phone lines, summer camps, the Honda cosign that became a refinance when he missed payments. I dug through emails and screenshots. Lena pulled statements. We stayed up until 1 a.m., side by side at the kitchen table, adding line items. Every number we found made my jaw unclench a little. Not because of the amount, though the amount made me want to lie down, but because it wasn't a feeling anymore. It was data. At the bottom I wrote, further credit suspended. The next day I posted in the family chat, we're coming over Sunday at 5. All of us. Please be there. Mom liked the message with a heart. Nick replied, make it quick, champ. Lucas got training. Sunday at 5, we walked in. I didn't bring a casserole. I brought a printed packet. Lena carried a folder. My kids stayed home with our neighbor. Mom started in immediately. Max, about New Year's. I held up a hand. I'll start. Nick sprawled on the couch, phone in hand. Make it short. The game's on. I set the packet on the coffee table. This is the last 10 years of me helping, I said. Total at the end. Notes attached. Tonight, I'm saying no going forward. Effective today. Mom frowned at the header. Dad turned the pages like he might find a joke hidden in there. Nick didn't touch it. He smirked at me. You made a brochure? That's adorable. Read page 3. I said. That's the Honda you stopped paying. I've got the refinance papers and the ding it put on my credit. Page 5 is Luca's 2022 camp. Page 6 is the deposit you lost. Page 7 is the temporary phone line I'm still paying. Page 9 is the laptop you borrowed for your consulting and never returned. Dad cleared his throat. Max, Dad, you told me to smooth things over. This is me smoothing. I'm telling the truth out loud. That's all. Mom crossed her arms. You don't bring spreadsheets to family. You brought invoices to me for years, I said. You just called them favors. Nick flipped a page with one finger and laughed. So what? You want me to pay you back? I'll send you a check for, what, $20 a month for the rest of my life. Relax, banker. I felt the old anger rise and let it pass like a truck you see coming. No, I said. I don't want anything. I'm closing the account. He blinked. What is that even? It means no more money. No more cosigns. No more just this once. No more paying for your kids anything. And if you insult my wife or my kids again, you won't see us. That's abuse, Mom snapped. You can't punish a child for his father's mistakes. Then stop using your child as your excuse, Lena said quietly. It was the first time she'd spoken. Everyone turned. She kept her voice steady. Max isn't punishing Luca. He's protecting our kids. From you. Nick pointed at her. Watch your tone. I laughed once. No. Watch yours. He stood. You think you're better than me because you change oil and play Dad of the Year? You think your little shop makes you a big man. I let him talk. He's always loved the sound of his own voice. When he wound down, I slid my phone across the coffee table. Since you think I'm trying to be a banker, I said, here's the audit. I opened the family chat on the screen, scrolled to years of emergencies, and then to last week, his text about sending invoices to my business account. I tapped the message, hit info, and mirrored it onto Dad's TV with one click. 20 feet wide, Nick's words glowed across the screen. Wow, I read aloud. Look at that. Send the invoice to the business account. That must be a different kind of joke. Dad said my name like a warning. I met his eyes. I'm done taking the bait and taking the bill. Nick's face flushed. You think I'm scared of a slideshow? You still owe us. Luca is family. Lena leaned forward. Our kids are family too. Ben heard you call him talentless. He cried in the car. Talia wanted to know if, just like their mom, means she should be ashamed of me. That's what your joke did. A tiny sound came out of Mom. For a second, I thought it might be empathy. Then she said, Lena, you know Nick doesn't mean it. He gets carried away. And the empathy vanished. I took a breath. One more thing, I said, sliding a second paper across. This is an email I drafted to Eastfield Prep. It says, please remove my name and any implied sponsorship from Luca MS file. I will not be responsible for payments now or in the future. It's going out tonight. Nick lunged forward and snatched the page. You wouldn't. I would. You promised. I promised to be a brother, I said. Not a bank. He stared at me like I just slapped him. Then he did what he always does when cornered. Went for humiliation. You know why you're really mad? He said to the room. Because Luke is better than your kids. Because you married plain and you made plain kids and you can't stand that mine shines. The word plain hit Lena's face like a slap. I saw it. That was it. The last bolt tightened. Okay, I said. We're done. I picked up my phone, tapped the family chat, and wrote, slow so I wouldn't misspell from shaking. We will not be in this chat anymore. Do not contact us for money or favors. If you need a mechanic, call the shop during business hours like any other customer. I left the chat. Lena left the chat. Then I blocked Nick. Mom started crying the careful way people cry when they think it's a tactic. Dad stood, hands out. Max, Dad, I said, If you want to see your grandkids, you know where we live. But if there's a price or a punchline, stay home. We walked to the door. Nick muttered to my back, "You're still covering college, right?" I didn't turn around. "Read the memo," I said, and closed the door behind us. The first week was loud. Missed calls, long voicemails, messages from numbers I didn't know. My aunt texted, "Family isn't transactional." I typed and deleted a reply a dozen times before writing, "I agree. That's why I'm ending the transactions." Mom left a message every morning. "You're breaking my heart," she'd say. "Call me. Let's be reasonable." Reasonable meant I pay and they forget the terms. Reasonable meant we pretend the insult never happened. I didn't listen to Nick's voicemails. They came in like spam. 10:04 a.m., 10:12 a.m., 10:28 a.m. Lena listened to one, grimaced, and deleted it. "We're not saving any of this," she said. "We're not writing a book." At the shop, something shifted. Without the weekly emergency withdrawals, my numbers breathed. I ordered the alignment rack we'd been pushing off for a year. It arrived on a rainy Thursday. The delivery guys wheeled it in while Talia danced around the bay in pink headphones. Ben helped me unbox the laser heads, reading the manual like it was sacred. "New toy," he said. "New tool," I corrected, but I was smiling. We made small changes at home too. Wednesday nights had been Nick's practice night, when we'd rearrange dinner so I could drive him or Luca somewhere because their car is in the shop, not mine. Wednesday became pancake night. The kids picked toppings. Lena burned the first batch and laughed for the first time in days. I noticed how quiet my phone was. No "can you just" requests. No quick favors. The absence felt like oxygen. Of course, the family didn't stop. They just pivoted. Mom tried dad. Dad tried guilt. "I never asked my parents for anything," he said on the phone. "But your mother." "Dad," I said, "you can see the kids this Saturday. Come by. Bring bagels." No speeches. He came. He brought bagels. He stood in the doorway like a man sneaking into a movie halfway through. Ben showed him a Lego engine he'd built that actually moved. Talia read him a page from her book. He cried a little. He left without mentioning money. Progress. Nick found a new angle, the public one. He posted on Facebook about growing up poor and brothers who forget where they came from. He wrote, "Some people value money over family," under a photo of Luca in a uniform I recognized because I had paid for the last version. Mutual sent me screenshots with "You okay?" attached. I replied, "We're good," and then put my phone face down and torqued lug nuts until my palms hurt less. A week later, Eastfield Prep emailed, "We've updated our records. Your name has been removed." The relief I felt shocked me. It was like a knot between my shoulder blades loosened a notch. I printed the email and slid it into the folder labeled family, which now meant history, not instructions. 2 weeks later, a customer came in with a beat-up Corolla and a Lucas sticker on the bumper. She laughed. "You know Nick? He told me to tell you hi, said you take care of the whole family." I smiled and said, "We take care of every customer the same." Then I gave her a fair price and did the work and sent her on her way. The real test came month 3, Luca's birthday. In the past, I'd have been asked to sponsor the team party. This time, silence. Then, the day of, a text from an unknown number. A photo of Luca with a sheet cake and plastic forks, candles burned down to stubs. The message said, "Wish you were here, Uncle Max." That one got past my armor. Kid didn't ask to be born into this. I showed Lena. She nodded, eyes soft. "Send him a gift," she said. "Not to Nick. To Luca. Something he can use. No money. No note. Just his name on the box." We sent a set of really good practice cones and a hand pump with needles and a small card that said, "Happy birthday, Luca. Practice makes progress. Uncle Max." No return address. Just a clean line from us to him. I didn't check if Nick posted about it. I didn't want to turn it into a scoreboard. We started inviting people who weren't family into our life more. The shop guys and their kids. Our neighbor, Ruth, who makes soup when she knows I'm working late. One Friday, we moved the cars out of the bays, hung string lights, and watched a movie on a sheet clipped to the lift. The kids lay on old seat cushions and ate popcorn out of oil drain pans lined with foil. Don't judge. They were clean. For the first time in a long time, I didn't brace for my phone to buzz with a new crisis. The only buzz was the lights. A month after the confrontation, Mom texted Lena instead of me. She wrote. Lena said yes. They sat in a cafe for an hour. When she came home, Lena hung up her coat and said, "Your mother misses you and will never admit it." What did she say? That she doesn't understand why you're being so extreme. Lena looked at me. I told her the line wasn't you leaving the chat. The line was Nick pointing at our kids and calling them nothing. I waited. She said, well, he didn't mean it. I said he did. Then I said we're open to relationships that don't cost our kids their dignity. And she stirred her tea for a long time. 2 months in, I looked at the shop bank account and felt something like hope. We were ahead, not by much, but ahead. I ordered new uniforms with everyone's names stitched on the chest. I got mine too. Max. It felt silly, then good. Ben started coming in on Saturdays for the morning rush. He learned to check tire pressures and reset TPMS lights. Talia sat at the little desk by the window and made invoices with crayons for imaginary customers named Princess Sparkplug and Sir Muffler. She spelled muffler wrong every time and laughed like it was the best joke. On a quiet Tuesday, I saw a number I recognized, one I hadn't blocked, my grandmother's cousin Zoya. She's 90 if she's a day and sees everything. I heard, she said. You made a scene. I made a boundary, I said. Good, she said, and hung up. Not everything was warm. There were days I wanted to drive to Nick's place and shake him until the old brother I once had fell out of his pockets. There were nights Lena and I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if we'd done right by Luca. But the feeling that used to live in my chest, the tight, sour mix of resentment and guilt, was fading. It was being replaced by something boring and strong, routine. Work, dinner, homework, sleep, repeat. It felt like healing because it was. Then, spring. A Saturday tournament at the park near my shop. We took the kids and the dog. Luca's team was there. We stood far enough away to be polite and invisible. At halftime, Luca jogged to the sideline, glanced around, and spotted us. He broke into a grin and did a small wave he probably thought no one else would see. I lifted my hand too. That was it. No conversation. No promises. Just a quiet hello that didn't cost me anything I couldn't afford. When his team won, the parents crowded around with phones and banners. Nick hoisted Luca up like a trophy. For a second, Luca looked like a kid again, not a project. He caught my eye. I tapped my chest twice. Good job. We walked home. Talia skipped. Ben narrated the winning play like a tiny sports commentator. Lena slipped her hand into mine. You okay? She asked. I think so, I said, surprised it was true. I didn't win a war. I just ended one I kept funding. People think the hard part is saying no. It isn't. The hard part is not saying yes afterward, when the guilt shows up wearing your mother's voice. The hard part is sitting in your kitchen at midnight with your phone face down and choosing quiet over drama. The hard part is looking your kid in the eyes and promising that your family won't be a place where they are the punchline. Here's what I know now. A boundary is not revenge. It's a budget for your energy. A family chat is not a courtroom. I don't owe anyone my defense there. My kids are not second place to anyone's pride. I own a shop. I fix things. I used to think my job with family was the same. To take in their rattles and leaks, bolt on something new, send them back out. But some problems don't need a mechanic. They need an exit. On New Year's, I raised a glass and said, "This is the last time any of you will see us." That was anger talking. The truth is softer. It was the last time any of them would see us like that, available, apologizing, paying to be insulted. We're still here. We just stopped showing up to the wrong stories. Last week, Dad came by and watched Talia hammer a bent nail straight. He clapped like it was a magic trick. Ben changed a wiper blade in under a minute and grinned so hard I saw the kid he was and the man he'll become in the same face. Lena leaned on the doorframe, arms folded, eyes shining. Nobody made a joke. Nobody sent an invoice. We ate pancakes for dinner because it was Wednesday, and that's what we do now. My phone buzzed once, twice, then went still. I let it. I poured syrup. I passed a plate. I answered a question about torque specs with, "We'll learn together." And when I tucked the kids in, Ben said, "Are we still not going to Uncle Nick's?" "Not for now," I said. "But we're okay." He nodded, satisfied. "Good," he said. "I like pancake night." "Me too, kid. Me too." I don't know what Luca's college will be, and it's not my job to know. I hope he gets wherever he wants to go. I hope one day he comes by the shop on his own and lets me show him how to change oil without making a mess. I hope he learns what I finally did. That love isn't measured in how fast someone wires money or how quietly they swallow an insult. It's measured in the steady, unglamorous work of showing up for the people you chose and the people who chose you back. That's my boundary. That's my moral. I'm not a bank. I'm a dad with a lift, a wife with a spine, and 2 kids who are not plain, they're mine. And that is enough.
After listening to today's story, perhaps it has raised some new questions in your mind, or maybe it has brought back some old memories. Every day on Reddit, new experiences and moments create fresh stories, and they connect all of us. Everyone has their own unique journey in life, and we all try to understand the world in our own way. These kinds of moments remind us that we are all human, sometimes happy, sometimes sad, and always learning something new. If you enjoyed this story, feel free to share it with your friends. Your thoughts and feedback are always valuable to us, as they motivate us to create even better content. Every story has its own unique angle, and our goal is to understand everyone's perspective and make our content diverse and relatable. Stories like these help us realize that life's journey is different for everyone, and by hearing other stories, we learn something new. You can also share your own stories with us. Your experiences are valuable to us as well, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave your feedback. We aim to create content that brightens your mind and gives you new ideas every time. If you've already seen this video before, your feedback is still important. With every piece of feedback, we can improve our content and bring a new perspective to our viewers. Today, what we saw was just a small part of the many stories shared on Reddit and across the world. It's a reminder of how we all try to understand life by sharing our experiences with each other. This video was only an example of how we try to connect with others through storytelling, learning about different sides of life. We hope to continue sharing such stories that help us all learn and grow together. Thank you for your time, and don't forget to keep an eye out for more stories coming soon. If you haven't already, please like and follow for more amazing content. Your support keeps us going, and we will strive to bring you more thought-provoking and heartwarming stories. Until next time, take care and stay curious. ****